So I finally made it back. There's obviously a ton of arrows. Nate is working on dismantling the traps for us. And fortunately, my stuff is all still here. Yeah, we got pretty overwhelmed by these walkers a few times. They came in a lot harder than we expected. There's a nice, pantry, galley area in here. Lots of food, healing potions. It's always a good idea to check the furnaces in this place as well, as you never know when you'll find interesting or useful things. For example, two diamonds in a furnace. Not sure why. These walkers obviously don't know how to use furnaces. So I found a throne room in here. No boss to be found up here. Not quite. We thought that, a throne room would be a good place for a boss, but, whatever. He did have a secret, well, not really secrets, actually not very secret at all, but he did have a nice big old storeroom here with some enemies to take care of, but no king in the throne, currently in the throne. So we finally finished with the base areas, and now this is when things start to get a little interesting. So when we come up to, well, not ground level, but come up to what I'm calling the main floor. The main courtyard, if you will. This is also the point where I was lamenting not having made an AoE damage spell. We had to retreat a little bit here. It was just they're overwhelming us pretty damn quick. Fortunately, they didn't chase us too far, so, or maybe unfortunately, actually, we hoped to pick them off a little bit one by one. Notice there's one guy even riding a horse with diamond armor on. So that's it was getting pretty intense up there. Oh, there they are. Yeah, that one guy hit me with an arrow. Did like 7 hearts of damage to me. Triggered my regen proc on my chest plate. Oh, and I accidentally electrocuted Harry with my shock spell. Look at all those guys. It was absolutely insane. Yeah, AoE damage would have been a lifesaver here. Except for Harry, he still would have died. So we realized that they had a healer, so we charged in, tried to take him out, but obviously it did not work in our favor. Fortunately, I found some weird bug where the contents of my knapsack, including my knapsack, scattered around where I respawned instead of where I died. So that was, I suppose, relatively convenient. So I made my way back inside, snuck around the back, and managed to take out the healer with my shock spell that fortunately still had on me, because my spell book is soul-bound now. Which is super useful, by the way. So eventually there was just one guy left, and he was in diamond armor. Fortunately, magic tends to ignore, well, it ignores physical armor altogether. So it does about the same amount of damage to a guy in diamond armor as it does to a guy without armor. Like that. And in relatively no time, we had taken out the final guy in the entry hall, or that had followed us down to the entry hall. And we could get back our bags, stock up on our personal inventory again. And once everything was reorganized how I wanted it, we charged back up into the courtyard. Now that we had all our armor, I had some our weapons back. I had some mana. The courtyard had been cleared already because everyone who was down there had followed us. But we were about ready then to go up to the second level. Unfortunately, Harry died again. But which is happened a number of times now and in the future in this dungeon, which honestly couldn't be too upset about, because this is a challenging dungeon. It's been a while since we've had a pretty good challenge like this. We all know the Ward Guardian was pretty much no challenge. This is almost bad luck that Harry died the one time he did. But Nate and I are managing to fend off a couple of them at a time, at least, just the two of us. So after clearing the second level here, we waited for Harry to get back. In the meantime, we decided we were going to go and raid these rooms that we passed just a second ago. Most of them are pretty small, just kind of, I think they were supposed to be little living quarters. But there's also, more importantly, this big ol' area underneath. But we'll get to that in a second. See, just some beds, a little crafting table. A couple of things, had a furnace with some, you know, some stuff in it. Useful, some stuff that's worth grabbing at least. But then we were ready to take on this bit in the middle here. Well, you know, almost ready. Now, we weren't quite sure what this place was, but it had a lot of guys in it, and they didn't seem to like us too much. So, you know, nothing new there, I suppose. This place is nice and open. It had a few little. It seems like they had a few little rooms around the side, and we were eager to explore them. Of course, these guys didn't want us to do that, so you know we had no choice but to take them out. If Nate would stop getting in the way of my lightning bolts, at least. So that was about almost the last one. We just a little bit of cleanup to do, and then we could start exploring the area. It looked almost like a bit of a merchant's quarters or merchant quarter or of a town or something like that. There's a bunch of little stalls with chests in them, a handful of anvils, and we picked up what we could. That enchanting table, of course, always useful, although we didn't grab that enchanting table. So we already have 2 or 3 of them back at the bastion. We did grab just about anything useful from the chest, though. There's a lot of food, handful of metals to be found in minerals to be found in the furnace, still, or furnaces and chests. For some reason, there was pretty much one of each type of sapling, vanilla sapling or bush, and bushes in item frames over here, as well as some leaves that I think were meant to represent bushes. Not quite sure what those were supposed to be exactly, but you know, it kind of looks cool. Then that's when we discovered the giant chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Now we couldn't turn it on yet, but we figured there must be a switch somewhere. So we decided we were gonna head up and look for it. Now in here I found a mana cake. Mana cakes are something that I'd completely forgotten even existed, but I was really glad that we found some, if for no other reason than to remember that I did, or that they were a thing that you can craft. Now mana cakes are great because they refill a couple bars of hunger, and they also give you like a 30-second something mana regen boost, which is fantastic, especially because I was hurting a little bit for mana. Now you might have noticed Nathan dropped a spell that he had made earlier on the ground for me, called Life Tap. If you don't know Life Tap, when you cast it, it hits you for health in order to recharge your mana. And I decided I didn't quite need that because I valued my health over my mana, and especially with the mana cake I had just eaten, I had a decent amount to use. Now, we found a couple Hecates in here as well. Now, we noticed that it seems to be a bit of a bug with Hecates at the moment, is that they just never attack you. Now, if you don't know, Hecates are an Ars Magica mob, and they used to be known as super dangerous, and while they still have really low health and armor, they can do a lot of damage if they sneak up on you, and they can also turn invisible, so sneaking up on you is by no means out of the question for them. But they're not attacking. They just don't attack you at all, which is a little unfortunate, actually. We found our way into kind of the roof area of the courtyard, and we found a switch. We could kind of guess what the switch was for, but we didn't want to pull it until we were in the right spot.